Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Squaretron, and in this video I'm gonna be teaching you I'm gonna teach you React.js. React.js is a front-end framework that is a lot faster and a lot better. So and it's much fun and it's more fun to do projects with React.js and not with HTML. The Obviously React.js, since it's a front-end framework, you don't have the database accessibility in it, but you can use something called JSON server, which you are not going to touch into this video. In this video we're going to be building this. It's a Pokedex, and if you are such a Pokemon nerd like I am, you'll really like this project. You can just look through this. It will show you 100 Pokemon by default. If you click load more, you just give it a second, you load more the pictures, and then you click on one. It'll take you just a second. It's a little slow because like it gives you details about that Pokemon. You click back to home, you can search for something like Raichu, like that. You get the details there as well, and make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon for notifications for my every video. And so we are going to be using the Poke API for this. So for React you need Node.js. If you don't have Node, I suggest you go and to nodejs.dev and download Node.js. So it provides npm, which is a package manager that we are going to use. So this I already created the React app because my npm's a bit slow right now. So if you haven't, you just have to run npx create React app Pokedex, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm not going to do that because I already did it. I'm trying to run the application. Like I said, it's a little slow and have a few errors. Let's see how to fix them later. And it has two main folders that we need to know about. Public has little stuff like this, index.html has data. This is a default template of React.js. So I'm just gonna run the server and show you how it looks like. Then we're gonna begin on our project. Starting the development server. And if you want to check out the source code, it's right here in my Git repo, which will be linked in the description, and this URL for a live demo also will be linked in the description below. This Poke API is really good. It will provide you a lot of details, like it's Pidgeotto. It provides you the URL to get in depth with it. So just paste that in. Oops. The server's running. Yep. So by default, the React.js app server runs on port 3000, which is right here. Just move it. I'm just gonna close all this. I'm just gonna leave this open. Close this. Leave that open. Should be running in about a trice. Then React.js uses JSX, a kind of library that provides you to run JavaScript in HTML from JavaScript. So we'll just check it out. I'll just show it to you. It's a bit slow. Like I said, my npm's a bit slow right now. That's why I created the React app before my video, so it will not take up much time. This is going to be around a little long video, but I'm going to try and keep it short as I can. Let's just check out what's inside index.js. It's importing a few stuff. We'll take care of that later. But the main thing here is React DOM. React DOM is like a normal DOM, document object model for React. It's rendering enable React strict mode and render the app component, which is right here. Then what it does is it's putting that HTML inside the app component inside the element root, which is there in public and index.html right here. See, id root. And then in the index.js there's a few unnecessary comments. We'll remove that. Just a second. Why isn't the server running up? servers running this week. We'll just keep remove all the comments and keep everything ready. After that, we're going to clear the unnecessary files. There's a comments almost everywhere, so if you don't want them because in the production way they look terrible, we'll use source code. So delete all that. Let's leave all this. Change the title to React Pokedex. Right? And by the way, the Poke API can do a lot of stuff. I'll just show you whether this thing runs. It can get the Pokemon based on its ID, like this. Pokemon 1 is Bulbasaur. It has the abilities, forms, moves, species, sprites, stats, a lot and a lot more. Trust me, this is a lot. I love this API. I've built, technically this is the second project I'm building using this API. I've built another video, but I've shown my Pokedex that is not built in React. So, and the readme.md is generated automatically by the obviously React. Then let's see what stands in app.js. App.js is just how to say it, a React template. Like I said, JSX allows you to run HTML from JavaScript like this. Only it has a few changes. Classes change to class names, and the servers running. Let's just check it out. Classes change to class names, and there are a lot of differences here and there. So it's a bit slow because it's the first time this project is running. After that, it's gonna, and it also has hot reloading. Hot reload or hot reloading, whatever you want to call it. It's also known as live server. It will not reload the page actually, we'll just reload this components inside the page. So it should be running. And if you check the server and compiling, go back here. Wait for it. Compiling in the sense it's taking everything, that all the components there in React and showing that. So it'll take a little time on your first try. So let's just let that run. It has live reloading, like just the logo is not just reload it. It's compiling. A logo in the sense it's just a React.js, the default logo, kind of atom logo, that kind of thing. Then app.tests, if getting tests ready, we're not going to be covering that in this video. Report web vitals and setup tests are also not required for what we are building in this video. So what we are going to do is you just get the point, right? It's gonna this is the default page for React. Now we're gonna go and clear the stuff that are not required. I'm just gonna close my terminal. App.css is not required. App test, index.css, logo, this, and so it's deleted. Only these two are required. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna clear this logo. We can remove that. Just change this to style.css and then create a file called style.css. And now the CSS is there in my Git repo right here. I'm not gonna write it by hand because it's gonna take a lot of time. I'm just gonna go to the raw version. Going to go back to React Pokedex. It's going to throw a few errors. Don't worry about that. We are importing stuff that is not there. It'll just disappear within a few seconds. In index.html, we got to remove leave In the public folder also there's unnecessarily stuff that are added with the template that we don't require. These files are the files that are not required. I'm just going to click delete, and the viewport theme colors not required. This and that. Okay, this is what we need in the public folder. Now we're not going to touch that anymore. Then in the index.js we just got to remove report and this. All the errors should be fixed. There you go. Now if you see the style.css, it has a few classes and everything that is required in this video. It's already ready for us. So let's get going. Now we need to create two different folders: components and pages. The component we'll just touch within a few minutes. We're just gonna get to set pages right now. We create a page called Pokedex.js X, and we are there's an really cool extension for React.JS. It's named ES7 React Redux React Native Snippets. React Native is a React for mobile phones. So it has a lot of snippets. You can just click this link to go for the snippets. So this main snippet we are worried about is RAFCE. It creates a React arrow functional component. We'll just turn app into a React arrow functional component by just doing this. Cool. And then in index.js, this is also not required anymore. But we're not going to touch it anymore. Not required doesn't mean that you can delete it. So in the app, what we're going to do is we're going to import something. For an import snippets, this is a snippet called IMP. We can import from inside the pages folder and the Pokedex. You should not enter the file format for React components. By the way, the components this is what a React components default looks like. And we'll name it Pokedex, and try to it's a good practice to make React components first letter start with capital. I suggest you use .jsx. The .js doesn't have emit enabled on it by default. So inside we can remove the class name and say you're free to enter your own name, where I put my name. Just a second. Just put h1. Like I said, emit doesn't work in a .js file. h1. If you want it to work, just change this to React. The file, what the editor thinks the file format is. Put h1 and the shiz Pokedex. Right. I don't know why that didn't reload the first time. I think it's because of the first time it's there you go. The shiz Pokedex. That's the resemblance. See what I mean? And now the search container, we'll just keep it ready for further use. We'll not touch it we'll not build anything in it right now. But first we gotta pull the Pokedex and apply it here. How to do that is how you saw in the index.js right here. So Pokedex, close, and there. Right. Now the app.js is more or less over for now. We're going to use React router in the end, obviously. I'm just going to run the install because, as I said, mine's a little slow. So what we are going to do is, in your terminal, you can use whatever you like. I'm going to just run npm I React router DOM, and then we also need Axios. I'm just going to let that install. And inside Pokedex, the JSX have to have one parent element. If you put a h1 tag out here, you throw an error. See. Adjacent JSX elements must be wrapped in an enclosing tag. Did you want a JSX fragment? So yeah, we are in this file. We are going to keep it as a fragment because the CSS obviously is built that way. A fragment is like just this. You can have divs, spans, p tags, whatever you like, but it has to have only one parent element. Just that. And now in the what is it? The style.css, we have a search container class. It's right here. We're just gonna apply that. Say, I'm gonna use element dot search container. Oops. Inside that, there's going to be an input type text. Name, we don't need the name. In placeholder, it's going to be search for a Pokemon. And then it's going to have a class name. Form / control. And the install is finished. I'm just going to close the terminal now. We'll apply that later. So the class name is applied. Now that's all we're going to use right now. And then we're just going to have a button with the class name of button. This is search, right? That's all now. Now we got to create a div called Pokedex. Now we're just going to get the Pokemon from the Poke API. So what we are going to do for getting the Pokemons is creating a function up here above React, above return. And now we're going to import state. And just do that. Use state and use effect. I'll just explain what these are in just a second. So about this, we are going to create a states. Think of states as a global variable, and it can be accessed inside functions or anything else. Const, it has to be done like this. We'll name it Pokemons, and we're going to do it set Pokemons. We can use Pokemon as a get to get the Pokemons and set Pokemons to set Pokemons, obviously. And we can set use state and set the default value to an empty array. That's all. That's all states we need just about now. And now we're going to create another arrow function down below called const get all Pokemons. Here we are going to use async await fetch just in case you want to know how to use them. Async arrow function has to be done like this. Now const res response, short for response, has to be await fetch. We're just going to go to the Poke API, open this, remove this, and copy this URL right here. And we are going to paste it in. Technically, we'll just set up a few load more functionality. We'll just say load more and set load more. We're not going to do it now. This is just going to contain the URL. Use state. Just copy this. I'm just going to paste it in here, and I will not touch that since till I get the load more part. We'll just say load more. You get what I mean by global variable. You can access it inside functions even though it's not in the scope. So next will be const data await res.json. We are converting the response into JSON. This is just another part of the load more functionality. What just we're gonna do is set load more to data.next, and we'll just log it. Log the data what we get. Then to call the function, we're going to use something called use effect. It's going to have a callback. Inside that we say get all Pokemons, call the function, and then it has an array of dependencies. If you don't enter anything, it's really gonna hang your application. I'll just show you what I mean. Okay. Open the console. Here, go to inspect. Head to network. I think it's saved, did it? That's saved. Reload this page. See what I mean? The requests continuously keep going. They'll really hang it up. So unnecessarily 23 requests. The same URL is getting relooped a lot of times. See what I mean? So instead of that, we can just give it an empty array. See, the same data is being looped a lot of times and we have an error. Unexpected token in JSON. That's because it's an error. So what we can do is just say this. Give it an empty array. It should fix the error. Reload the page. You get it only once. There you go. And if you open this, you have a results array and you have around 100 Pokemon right in it. So what we are going to do is now we are going to create the object, Pokemon object, to set to the state. We're going to set the state. So what we're going to do is create an arrow function, const create Pokemon object from results. Equal to from results. And then inside that, what we're going to do is results.for each. We're going to loop through each result. This it needs a callback. Inside the callback, we need the Pokemon. Each Pokemon will be named Pokemon, and I of it restricted index. And here, what we're going to do is say const Pokemon data equal to an object ID index plus 1. Index plus 1 because index starts from 0. So it will show the first Pokemon is 0. We don't want that. Next, what we need is the name, which is going to be Pokemon.name. And then there's something called a sprite. I'll just show you what it is. Just set it to this. If you see, these images are called sprites. So they have a URL. Just open in here. Just open pages and go to Pokedex. And just copy this string right here. Or you want to write it by hand, you must be okay. That's it. Now what we are going to do is just below this, not outside the loop, we are going to say set Pokemons callback, the current list, the list that's already there, and then the This is called a spread operator. You can access each value in an array and set it to a different one. And then Pokemon data, right? Next, we need to call this with data.results. Data.results. Next, what we'll do is we'll just go outside this. You'll see what I mean by global variable and state. Pokemons. We're outside the loop, but still it's outside the function, but it's still showing. Reload the page. Wait for it. It's looping through the array, and we get exactly 100 results. If you open it, you have ID, name, and a sprite. Currently, that's all we need. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go down into the HTML part, create a div called Pokemon cards, and since if you haven't noticed, in React it's not just class. You have to enter class name. So in React you can also enter ternary conditions, like you can do if true you can run something, and if false you can run something else. You can run stuff like that. So Pokemons.map, we're gonna map to each Pokemon. It's another type of loop. We need the Pokemon. So Pokemon. And you must be wondering why I've put brackets instead of curly braces, because you can return HTML from map functions like this. So what we are going to do is now we are going to, since I've already installed React router, I suggest if you haven't already, you might have to do it now. So I already have React router installed in the current package. So we are going to get the link, this const imports from React router DOM, go back and import link from React router DOM, and so that's all. Now we can scroll down. This is a better version of A tag. In A tag, what it does is it will kind of reload the page and take you to another page. This will just take you to another route. You'll understand what I mean. Let's go here, create a link. So what we need to do now is say to curly braces, obviously. And then because we need to input get the ID and all the URL stuff, Pokemon $Pokemon.id, and then say Pokemon card, and now we are going to learn props. Card Pokemon. Now you must be wondering what is this. In HTML they are fixed props. In React you can create your own for your own components. Well, there is no Pokemon card component, so it's going to throw an error. We'll just import this and copy the line. Import Pokemon card. Now we're going to create this in the components folder. It's not already done. Currently we're in the pages folder, so instead of using in the same directory, we got to go up one level and then go inside components. Inside that there is nothing, so we'll just create a new file called Pokemon card.js, right? And now import that Pokemon card. So what's going to be inside that Pokemon card is a little hard to say. HTML for that card. So the HTML is a bit long, so I'm going to just run here and copy it up. Like I said, I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. See what I mean? This is the default Pokemon card component. The class names are all applied. I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to go through it with you. Save it. There you go. Like I said, to import the prop that we have just passed into Pokedex right here, scroll down. We have passed a prop. This is called a prop. We have passed a prop as the Pokemon object. So here we can get that prop using the curly braces, destructuring, and get the Pokemon value of the prop. Or you could just input props. This is not a good practice. The good practice to do it is just this way. Pokemon. It has a class name of Pokemon card. It's there in the styles.css. Card title, which is getting the Pokemon ID from this. Pokemon name. If the Pokemon weight is not undefined, it's gonna return this. There is no Pokemon weight in this because it will not show this. Not equal to undefined if it's defined. Because the Pokemon card here doesn't have the weight details. This is actually the same class, Pokemon card, and it has the weight details. It's understanding that and adding this. So that's what that does. So now that should do it. If you reload here, you should have a few Pokemons. We have a few errors. Each child in list should have a unique key prop. React is thinking that this is a list because it kind of is. We are looping through this inside a parent element. That's what a list is. Only it doesn't loop. So it needs a unique key. What we can do for that is just say key. You should not do it for everything. This Pokemon.id. You should not have everything should not have the same key. So when you're looping something, if you don't have the ID already with you, I suggest you import the index along with it and say index. It doesn't matter what key it has, it just should be unique. So let's see what happens. Reload. Another error. Yeah. The link can only be used inside a router component, and now the router component has to be done inside app. So in here we got to set up routes as well. So what you have to do in here is simple. Everything you have to do here is just import. Go above this, above style.css, import React from React router DOM. Let's see, browser router as router along with route and routes. So instead of having the parent element as div, it should have a parent element of router. That should do it. The error should be fixed because we are calling it Pokedex inside the router. It's just placing the code of Pokedex inside here. So it'll get the router tag. The error should be gone. Reload the page. Just gotta reload the page. Oops. It's routes and route. Here. I'm making too many mistakes now. Reload. Now there might be another error. It's loading. And there we go. You can see the resemblance between the two. As you can see, it's more or less the same thing now. Looks a lot. Technically, it is the same thing. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna build this page right out. If you click on something, it's gonna take you to a detailed page and it has a link. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build on this right after we complete the routings. So I'm just gonna do this. Create a comment. This is how a comment looks like inside HTML has a return. Say routes, and then we gotta have a routes tag. Like link needs to be inside a router tag, a route has to be inside a routes tag. So we just need Pokedex anymore. Then create root, end the tag. The tag has to be closed, and the path for the root. Which path will show which component? Path will be the home page, obviously that, and then element will be Pokedex. And you must be wondering why am I putting Darsh's Pokedex up here? Why can't I put it inside Pokedex? Because anything above the routes tag will be shown in every page. See what I mean? And you must be also wondering why I put exact. The exact is telling because it should only have this. I'll just show you what I mean. If exact is there, go back here. It will only show the Pokedex component inside the when you're at home. How to say the default URL. But if you go inside something like Ditto, will be enabled at later, but we'll just show Darsh's Pokedex. It will not show if you don't put exact. Let's watch this. It's an error. Let's just hit the console. This one. See, no routes matched location / ditto. Because that route doesn't exist. So it's a good practice to put exact. Next we'll copy this and paste it down. We'll change this to Pokemon /105 for example. We'll show the same error, but that error is going to be fixed. Say Pokemon /:ID. The colon ID, what it does is it's a parameter, whatever. Like here in a default app, you have to write question mark the name of the parameter and then the value. Here you can just do it like this, Pokemon, and the after Pokemon whatever's there will be considered as ID. Now we don't need exact for this. And here it's going to be Pokemon. So copy this, paste it down, replace these two with Pokemon. Save it. The Pokemon card is just going to be like that. That's already done. Pokedex is also. We're going to leave Pokedex open because we have to do search and all functionality. So inside pages, we create a new file called Pokemon.jsx. So inside Pokemon, what's going to be there is obviously a React function component, arrow function component. In here, we are going to do the imports first. We're going to import React, use state, use effect from React, and then we are going to import stuff from React Router DOM next. Import link and use params. I'll show you what they all mean in just a second. You already know what link does. It's obviously just a link. Just import React Router So the use params can allows you to get the parameter from the URL. In this case, the ID parameter. So we also need Axios. We're going to use Axios in here to show you how to use Axios. Now every other place for search and all, I'm just going to use Axios. So Pokemon, replace the go in here, and before we touch this, we're gonna before we get into the HTML part, we're gonna work on the JavaScript part. Here again, there has to be a state. Set Pokemon use state and default empty array. Then we also need use params, const params equal to use params. The function we just imported above with React Router DOM. It will allow you to get the parameter. I'll just show you what I mean. Next we need, we can set something. Instead of calling it every time, we can just say params.id. Alright. Now log the ID. We'll see what I mean. What's the error? Pokemon is not defined. Should work. Okay, just give it a page reload. There you go. It's logging the value of ID. If you change to something else, it'll show FFFE obviously. Change this to 100, we'll show that. Set it to 5, we'll show 5. You get the point. Next, what we need to do is more or less the same thing. I'll show you that. Next, we need to create a function called const get Pokemon data. Then axios.get https pokeapi.co/API version 2 Pokemon $ID. Then after that, you get the data. You need to get the response, and now the response will be returned in a promise. So instead of converting to rest.json, there's a data value inside that promise. So I can just access that by destructuring. Oops. Then we got to set the Pokemon data. Const Pokemon data equal to an object again. ID with data.id. Name data.name. We also need the weight. Data.weight. We also need height. Data.height. Then we need types. Data.types. And if you look at the Pokemon card right here, it will say it does something to get the it will map through each Pokemon, return itself, and then join it with the comma. So that will just convert the array. Pokemon types is an array by default. I'll show you. I just get the object, finish the object, sprite, go to data.sprites.front default. Right. Next, just below this, we got set Pokemon to Pokemon data. Then same, we gotta just create a use effect function, callback. We will run get Pokemon data, semicolon, and then every time the ID changes, we gotta run this function. Every time thing over here changes, we gotta run this function. So we also need to run what I like to call it a protection block, because just a second, I'll just log the thing. You can see it after that we create a protection thing. Log. That's just a little bugging thing. Pokemon data. Pokemon, and then we need the data. Save it. Look here, just below the page. Currently this is an empty array. What is the empty array? Pokemon is the empty array, but will get set. Don't worry about that. This is the data we have. So it has the abilities, everything else. So it has the ID which we're taking in, the name also, Charmeleon, the sprites right here. Front default is what we have used. It's the best one. Then the types, like I said, is an array. Inside that it has objects. You can't very well see it because of my camera. Here you go. Array. Inside that is object, and there you go. Each Pokemon has different types of types. So now we have seen the distance, so I'm not gonna change it. Next, what we gotta do is go down. We gotta return a Pokemon card. Pokemon card, end it. And I don't think it's imported. There you go. It's not imported. Yes, just import it. Slash Pokemon card. It's important now. And now we just need to pass the Pokemon. Pokemon. Save it. Give it a reload. And there you go. We have it. Now what we need to do is just have the back to home button right down here. So in here, what we have to do for that is just scroll down, hit enter. We gotta create a div. We just give it a style. To give style manually or in like inline CSS, it's not done simply by putting it inside string. You gotta enter expression. Inside that, you gotta put an object. Whatever you want, you can put it here. Text align center. It has to be in camel case, by the way. Text align center, then margin top. I'll just give it a 25. Oops. I'll do 25 pixels. And then we'll create a link with the class name of button, which takes us to home. We say back to home. Go back. And now this part of the application is also the same. You just change this to 2 and it should look exactly the same thing. See what I mean? Next, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the load more functionality. Click back to home, it'll really work. Now we're going to work on the load more functionality like I told you. Now for load more functionality, it's more or less the same thing. All we need to do is go back to Pokedex. So all we need is when the load more, we need to create something called a load more button. First for that, scroll down. We'll just go back to Pokemon. We'll just copy the code and stuff. This will align the button in the center. Scroll down here. Paste it in. Instead of this will just say load more. And this isn't a link, it's a button. And for event listeners, you can't just target an element and write it like that. You can say on click. Call it the function load Pokemons, and you should not call the function, you should just pass the function in. If you call the function, it will run every time the page loads. So it's loading the Pokemons. Now all we need to do is just go up, copy the get all Pokemons. It's more or less the same thing except a few changes. Copy that, and then what we just change this to load Pokemons. What we need to do in here is just fetching the more or less the same thing, only the way we get the ID is different. Create. Oops. It's really bugging me for some reason. I need to check out how to fix that. Const ID equal to Pokemons dot slice Pokemons, because we need this piece of state right here. So the state is already set because get all Pokemons runs when the page loads, but this runs when the page is clear, when the button is clicked. So the -1 in the sense the last value, 0 the first value of that array. The Pokemon returns an array. Remember, each value of that array is an object. So it will return the last object, and then that's ID will do plus index plus 1. If the last Pokemon was 100, will run plus the index. The index, if it's 0, it will run plus 1. So practically 0 plus 1. And here, wherever we run this, just change this to ID. Call this to ID. You can just call it like that, and then change this to ID. And I think that should be it for the load more functionality. Let's just check it out. Reload the page. I know I'm used to working with lives. I'm used to working with PHP a lot. So what happens is PHP doesn't have live reloading, so I keep reloading stuff that has auto reload. So I think our load more functionality should be good. Scroll down, click load more, wait for it. Nearers. I think them. Oh, and there we go. The load more functionality works. It actually works. Scroll down again. Click load more. You can go all the way you like. Only it has around 1,000 Pokemon, but after I think 898, the images are not there. So that's a little. Now that is also done, we just got to create the search functionality. If you consider that, now you can see the resemblance between the two of the stuff. And now we'll work on the search. So for the search, first we got to change this to value. Oh, we didn't set it yet. We need to create another piece of state. Const search keyword. I just keep it short. Set search equal to use state. The default value will be an empty string because it's a text input. The value of the text input will be search. An input is to get the value of the input is not as simple as simply getting the value of normal HTML input. Since we can't target it, we have to save the value somewhere. So this is what we'll do. And then on change, whenever the value of the input changes, we got to run a function that says get the event. Got to say set search e.target.value. That's it. And then when this is clicked, we got to run a function. When that right here there is clicked, we just got to run on click search Pokedex. Alright. Go up, create another function called const search Pokedex. We are nearing the end of this video. Search Pokedex. It's almost 1 hour. Search Pokedex. In here, it's pretty simple what we do in said search. It's barely a few lines of code. First things, we got to set the search to the lowercase value of it. The Poke API, if it's in the Pokemon exists, but it's in capitals or uppercase, it thinks the Pokemon doesn't exist. So you got to say search dot to lowercase set. Now go down, click axios.get https://pokeapi.co/version2/pokemon/$search. Then result. Oops, you can't see because of my camera. Sorry about that. Result, we got to set it to a data. Then I'm going to get the data like we did it before. Const data equal to res. We are just running .then to check whether the Pokemon exists. So just to check. And then we got to navigate. I think we have not imported use navigate yet. And no, what's this? It has to be use navigate. It's just a way of redirecting. Don't get confused. It's just a way of redirecting. You just gotta set stuff like this. It's called a hook. This is called React hooks. Well, this is not React's hook. This is React Router DOM's hook. Use navigate equal to use navigate, and then that's just it. If you go down right here, it will just say navigate. Navigate to which route? We got to navigate to /Pokemon$data.id. Then if that doesn't exist, it's going to throw an error. So we're going to catch that error. We don't need to know what the error is. We just know that there's an error, and the error will be the Pokemon is not found. So we're just going to send an alert. The Pokemon you searched for does not exist. If that is the case, we got to set search to nothing, because then again you'll have the same value that doesn't exist in the search bar. We'll just set it to empty, and then we're going to clear the console because the error will be there in the console. Console.clear. I think that should be it. Go. So it's for Raichu. That should be. Oops, I didn't reload yet. Raichu should be Pokemon number 26. Yeah, I spent a lot of time building this from scratch here. And the search functionality works. If you enter something null, empty, send something. It'll say the Pokemon you search for does not exist, and it doesn't do anything. So next what we've got to do is just to create a safeguard. See what I mean? If you go to something that doesn't exist, a route that doesn't exist, it will show this. It will show the title. We need it to show the Pokedex. Any route that doesn't exist will just show the Pokedex instead of a not found page. Well, you can do a no found page. I'll just do that. In public source app.js, in here, copy this to check whether if a route does not exist, the route you can check for that like this. Just put a star, and then say not found component. Oops. Copy this down, place this with not found. Inside pages, create a page called notfound.jsx. In here, we just need to create a basic not found page. We're not going to get into something that's really complex. We'll say in here, we just got to say where is it? I'm just going to try something. Move this all the way down here inside the routes and move this route here. So maybe the Darsh's Pokedex will be seen like that. Yeah, finally that's what I want. Darsh's Pokedex will not be shown in everything else. There's some error. Check the terminal. We'll just switch to this server. There is no error. So that doesn't work. Just thought it would, but it doesn't. So in not found, the not found page, we just gotta say just in a div h1 404 page not found. Say the page you were looking for does not exist. Well, the GitHub repo for this doesn't have a few functions. So if you want the code how it is, you can just use this branch. I'm going to create another branch of the code I created in the video. That's just the code I've built previously. So that should do it. That should be the end. Guess. Enter something. It doesn't exactly look that good, so instead of that, what we'll just do is we'll just redirect to the previous page. Yeah, that I think that will be much better. We'll just return a empty div, it doesn't exactly matter. We'll say const navigate equal to use navigate and then we just gotta say navigate to the home page. Now if you're here, you should get redirected. It isn't. God knows why. It should work. Might be an error or something. Const. There is no error. Just reload the page again. You should call navigate in a use effect, not when your component is first rendered. Fine. I'll just say use effect. this up here. Just give it an empty array of dependencies. We don't want to get redirected 100 times. And there you go. We'll just remove the console log that logs the data. Pokedex. Let's look for the log. Control F. Log. Let's cut that off. And now that's the end of this tutorial. Everything that works, everything that can be done in my deployed Pokedex, it can be done here. Now, like I said, there's a few code differences between the Pokedex of already built. The already built one is the one that's here. I'm just going to create another branch. It's in the main branch. I'm going to create another branch called video code. That's the source code for this. That's the end for this video. I'm just going to show you how to build and deploy this application to your server or whatever. I'm just going to open a new terminal. I don't want to kill my server. You just have to run a command called npm run build. It's there in the package.json already there for you. Npm run build. Let it run. We'll create a build folder for you. It might take some time, so I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to use Netlify to deploy my application. So Netlify actually is actually what's going to do is I'm going to use a CLI version because it's much quicker. I don't want to go and deploy stuff very slowly. It's really slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let the npm run build command finish, and then we'll just deploy it to the server. Just let it run. See what I meant by my npm is usually slow. This error, I need to see how to fix it. Well, so I really like the application that we built. And I have a few recommendations of React extensions if you want to learn further more. And if you have learned my course, if you like my course, I'm gonna show you another person's YouTube channel. It's a really good React crash course. There are 2 crash courses that are good. I'm gonna recommend you both. There's a good channel called Traversy Media. In that, there's a person called Brad Traversy who creates crash courses and explains stuff very good nicely. His YouTube channel's crash course is also worth it. They go Traversy Media React crash course. That's a bit outdated, but it teaches you a lot of the topics in depth. There's also another channel called Dennis IV React.JS crash course. This one's a bit late. A bit new. It's around 6 months or 7 months later. It's been uploaded 6 to 7 months ago. There's a few deprecated stuff in there. If you just if I run into something that doesn't exist because of the updation, just go to stackoverflow.com and search for your error. You'll find it fixed. Like I said, I'm in a player. I'm at a different house, and my internet is really weak in here. Never mind. Like internet problems, I really hate them. I'll just let it run. See, it's saying create an optimized production build. It's gonna create a build folder. This has a favicon icon right now. Let's wait for it. Here you go. He has plenty of React.js crash courses, but there are 3 actually. But the latest one is this one right here. This is 1 year ago. So you should take this one. And I suggest you also take Redux crash course along with style components with React Native. It's a good recommendation for you. And Dennis Ivy's React.js crash course is right here. In this crash course, he builds a notes list, and in Traversy Media's crash course, he builds a task tracker. I myself have taken these two courses before it came to taught you on my YouTube channel. But I think that should be done. And to also run it, you might need a if you have npm already, which you need if you have React.JS, obviously. I'm asking. You might you have to install a package called Netlify CLI in your global package. So in there, that allows you to deploy stuff to Netlify easily. It's a really good one. I'll just wait for a few minutes. Oh, my laptop is charging. So here, let's check around. There are a lot of Pokemon. See, I've already deployed this to Netlify, but I'm just gonna teach you how to deploy it again. There are a lot of Pokemons. You can keep going. I'll show you what I mean by. Click load more. Scroll down. Oh, it's really been some time. I didn't notice. Thought it's been only half an hour. Hope you guys enjoyed this video because I really. And it's done. So if you want to deploy this to your website and not Netlify, there are a few changes that you have to do. I'm gonna speak about them right now. So the first one is you have to go inside your build folder. Inside your build folder, head to index.html. I'm just gonna format this with my formatter. Remove this right here, this here and here. We'll make it all right. So now you just have to run npm I netlify cli-g. I have already ran it, so I'm not running it again. So after you install that, it's just gonna log in. If you run Netlify, this command right here, you have to run it to deploy. If it's your first time, it ask you to log in. That will just open a link in your browser. It'll just help you. It's really simple. It's not something complex that you should be afraid of. So something wrong with my recorder. After I finish, I have to fix it. It should be deploying. Like I said, it's Netlify. After you run Netlify CLI, you should have the Netlify command available for you. If you want to know about more, you can just search Google for it. You can have the documentation at your hands. It's really helpful. So go back. Just have to run this command. If you don't want to run this command, this is I like to call this the old-fashioned way. Netlify CLI is new, so you got to create a Netlify account. By the way, from this. You know what? I'll just do it. If your npm will not be slow like mine, so you will be able to deploy it like this. Otherwise, you can just go here. Let it open. And it's already mine's already uploaded. This works. You can upload it from here itself, but it doesn't look like it. Just try it again before we go, because I want to explain to you how to do it if you're beginning. Netlify deploy. Right. Back here, add new site. You can either import an existing project or start from a template or deploy manually. It's creaking. I'm just gonna deploy manually. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drag the build folder all the way in here. Oh, didn't work. Never mind. Open here. Open your file explorer. Your file explorer should open, and then you should drag the build folder into the drag and drop folder, or you can just use a GitHub repo, create a GitHub repository, and then you can just import it from there. You'll automatically have to run the build command every time the thing is. It's called continuous integration or something. I'm not sure. So my folder is inside the documents folder. Down inside Squaretron. Slow, my computer is did the continuous did the Netlify work? It's actually working. Never mind. Netlify. My file explorer is open there. Now just go inside my Squaretron folder. Yeah, this is for me. For you, wherever you have created your React app, you should go in there, open your React app, and then go to the build folder. Drag the build folder in here. Just wait a second, and you drop it. It's uploading. Site has not yet been deployed. Just have to deploy the site. And the site is live. Preview. It's a draft actually. For you, that's how you can do it from the online version. We just uploaded our own site. So I think guess if this doesn't work, all you have to do is here commands. You just have to run Netlify. Where's it? Not watch. Gotta run Netlify deploy. Netlify deploy. This is the second way to do it. Your site can also be deployed from the online, and like I showed you, this is the CLI deploying. I like to call it CLI deployment. So I'm just gonna close all the unnecessary stuff that's open. You can run Netlify deploy. It's just gonna show you a bunch of options. You can choose, like I said. This folder isn't linked to a site yet. What would you like to do? Link this directory to an existing site. You need to create your own site. The other option. I'm just linking this to the repository I just created. Search. Choose a list of your recently updated sites. The recently updated sites. This one right here. Publish directory dot. Going to draft URL. First, it's gonna create a draft URL. Then it's gonna create this URL. What's it? It's gonna create a draft URL to make sure it's all you so how it looks like is okay with you. See what I mean? It's the draft URL. It's more or less the same thing. So I'm just gonna do Netlify deploy -- prod. You have to run with it with the prod flag to deploy it for sure. Next, should be published within 3, 2, and that should do it. So like I said, this should after that it should get published, and then you can share your great Pokedex that you built with everyone you like, your friends, family, company, or whatever you want. And don't hesitate to change the styles. If you don't like prefer my styles, that's based on my preference. You want, you can just change the styles, background color palette, everything you want, you can just change it. It's not fixed that it should be that way. And it is deployed. Let's just check it out and wait for it. There you go. Our site is finally deployed. It's not actually. It's throwing an error to me because it's a different URL that should work perfectly for you. It should be seen like this, or based on your own styles. So that's the end for this video. If you liked it, hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. And make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the notifications bell icon, and also like the video. Hope you enjoyed, and also check out the crash courses I mentioned.